unlock the power of AI with our Advancing AI Summit in Melbourne on the 3rd to the 4th of May. Join us for 2 days of in-depth discussions and insights from industry leaders on how Australian businesses can enhance their AI practices to achieve substantial ROI. Discover the crucial next steps for scaling productionized models and learning best practices for project prioritization, governance, model monitoring, and measuring business outcomes. We'll talk emerging developments and trends, AI optimization and impact, as well as a fresh take on critical and enduring challenges. Join us at Advancing AI at the Crown Promenade, Melbourne, on the 3rd to the 4th of May and gain the knowledge you need to drive innovation and improve operations in your business. Don't miss out on this opportunity to unlock the full potential of AI.
I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading specialist data recruitment business. With offices in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, they're experts at providing recruitment strategy and building data teams for clients across industries Australia-wide. They provide recruitment solutions for all roles across the data lifecycle, including data engineering, data science, advanced analytics, customer and marketing insights, business intelligence, data product managers, and data governance. They're skilled at finding the best permanent and contract hires for your business needs, as well as statement of work, project-focused data resources. At Talent Insights, relationships matter most. I can say from first-hand experience, Talent Insights are fantastic to work with. Whether you're a business leader within an HR network or a specialist data candidate, Talent Insights should be the first company you turn to for all your data recruitment needs. Find them at talentinsights.com.au.
Hi, this is Felipe Flores. Welcome to Data Futurology. Today, we're going to be talking about the next generation or leveraging next generation AI tech in your business. So we've been getting a lot of questions, and obviously there's a lot of discussion around, well, what can generative AI can do for your business, how you can leverage it, how to think about and move into the metaverse, thinking about digital trust and leveraging blockchain technology. And another key area of focus in this future focused area is sustainability. So generative AI, sustainability, metaverse, and digital trust are the areas that we're going to be covering today. For that, we have a super special guest. I couldn't think of anyone better to have this discussion with. Nikita Atkins. He is the executive for the Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence at NCS. Nikita, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Felipe. It's great to be here. Thanks.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for making the time. And keen to cover a little bit about your background and about NCS. I know that you came up through the ranks as an analyst, as a consultant, as an architect as well, and then onto leadership, and obviously from there now to an exec in the AI space. But can you give us a bit of an overview of your background and then tell us a little bit about NCS?
Yeah, sure. So briefly, my background was I went to uni and did mathematics, and basically my first job was working in a courier company. And long story short, I wanted to get into an area that was more data focused, and ended up stumbling into what was business intelligence at the time. And that was a really big thing 20 years ago. And did a lot of really good work around doing business intelligence, data warehousing, and doing data architectures, that sort of thing. Made my way around the place and ended up in IBM, of all places, doing that. But that about 10 years ago, I really wanted to go back and use my mathematics degree more and more and go into a little known area at that time known as data mining. Well, that was interesting because data mining snowboarded into data science into artificial intelligence. And so 10 years later, it's been a whirlwind job and eventually made it into NCS. And I now lead the Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence. A little bit about NCS. NCS, most of you listeners may not be familiar unless I came from Singapore. NCS used to be the Singapore government's national computer board, and it was actually known as NCB back then in the 70s. It got rebranded and privatized over the years, and then eventually we were bought by Singtel. And we are like one of the largest system integrators in the Asia Pacific area. We've got over 12,000 people, not just in Singapore, but 2,000 of those are based in Australia. We really are focused on end-to-end services and products around anything that touches on data, on technology, on digital, and we have expertise everywhere from software development, hardware. We have mainframes. We run our own data centers, and we do really interesting work. And what we're doing now more and more is helping our clients understand what are the next technology trends, what are the things that our clients are looking at and wanting to understand, and how can we help them prepare for not just what happened in the last 10 years, what's going to happen over the next 10 years, and how can our organizations be better prepared? And we'll touch about 4 of those key areas that I'm working on at the moment very soon.
Love it. I love it. Thanks so much, mate. And that's super exciting and also super aligned to what we do at Data Futurology. Obviously, for us, it's in the name as well, being future focused, wanting to leverage data, and we definitely see the future being data driven. So you and I and our organizations are very much aligned in that space. Should we dive into the generative AI side first?
Yeah, so this is our first area that we really are seeing a lot of interest in. So, I mean, no one can even turn on the TV without hearing good old ChatGPT, and obviously ChatGPT is one of those ones around generative AI. What we're looking at is ways that we can leverage not just ChatGPT or DALL-E or those other tools that have become really famous, but how can organizations make use of generative and autonomous AI to make their life easier? So some of the things we're looking at the moment is how can we use ChatGPT and other technologies and algorithms to actually harness your corporate knowledge, understand what files and information and stuff that you have around your organization, bring it together using natural language processing to actually really help capture what the essence of that knowledge is, where you are, and actually help mitigate a lot of risks that a lot of organizations are seeing with an aging workforce, with a remote workforce. We've seen that things like generative AI is going to be a real game changer here.
Yeah, there's a lot of generally in corporates and in large organizations, or even small and medium ones, there's always a challenge about knowledge management and having, being able to access the right information at the right time. People who are knowledge workers spend a lot of time looking for information, let alone sort of digesting and putting into action. And that's one of the areas where it sounds like technologies like ChatGPT can really turbocharge what organizations could do. What areas or what applications are you guys looking at?
Yeah, so there's a range of them. So a couple of ones that we're looking at particularly at the moment. So obviously I touched on knowledge AI and basically using AI to understand what's across all your file servers, across your web servers, that kind of stuff, and capture that. Other areas we're looking at is the next generation of low code and no code. We see that as very important as well. Understanding when do you use low code and no code, when does that provide value, and then when do you need to bring your hardcore programmers or data scientists in to leverage that. And so we're helping develop frameworks to help clients understand that balance and getting that balance right. Other areas that we're doing a lot more in is AutoML and autonomous AI. So one of the key things that we've seen more and more, particularly those organizations that have very mature data science, they're still making interesting choices where data scientists still collect the same raw data in different ways. They're still cleaning it in different ways, and then they're doing ML. What we're looking at is whether we can actually automate that process so it automatically collects that data, automatically contains that information in your feature store or in your ML ops platform, but automate that so your data scientists are actually doing what they're hired to do. They actually want to spend more time developing next generation algorithms, predicting things. 80% of data scientists will admit to you, or 90%, that they don't like doing the data cleansing. Well, let's automate that, standardize that, and let them do what they do best. And then other things we're looking at, of course, is AI ops is another big area that we're seeing a lot of big trends. So AI ops, when I talk about AI ops, is really about using AI to help IT service management. So how can we use AI to help with the help desk? How can we use AI to help, bring all that information, all the alerts, all the information from your servers and your hardware and your applications, bring that all together and let AI tell you where you should be focusing your time on, filtering out all the noise and telling you where the problems are. So these are some of the areas we're looking at, and then we cover that all by generative AI because we think that is being used, that technology can be used to enhance and provide value to those use cases.
Amazing. So no, really, three really interesting use cases. I think so. If we dive a little bit deeper into each one of those, and starting with the low code, I think it's such an important area to tackle, and for organizations that they're looking to leverage these technologies and sort of go to the next level. They large organizations, in organizations, the majority of people are not technical, and being able to empower them with the right sort of the right guidelines, the right frameworks, the right governance and controls, but being able to unlock the knowledge, the domain knowledge that a large part of the organization has. I think that's critical for the evolution of organizations, and I think that's where low code just had so much power. And obviously from the perspective or from the side of the more technical resources, it means that they can go from having a backlog that is essentially endless, to focusing on the key high value areas that are really going to transform the business and sort of wow both the organization and the customers. And anything that can be done essentially in the business through low code, for it to be done in that space. And I think a lot of organizations are trying to find how to implement this, how to make it a reality and unlock all the value of the knowledge that they have in their workforce. How do you guys see that coming into reality?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So what I talk to some of our big clients is some of them have got very good data science teams. But the problem is data scientists, let's be honest, we're not the cheapest resources around. So, a lot of organizations may have 10, 15, maybe as many as 50 data scientists. But if you take the power of low code and you give that to your community, to the broader business, to your analysts, and you give that to them, then you're unlocking the power of numbers, right? You really take, you've got 50 data scientists maybe in your center of excellence, but now you expand that. You have 2,000 people with access to that data, profiling that data, doing that cleansing, and providing you with insights. Then what that really means is then your center of excellence or your centralized team of data scientists can actually focus on the high value items. Let the business, they understand their data better than probably your data scientists will ever will. Let them explore, let them come up with these really good products. And then if the business case is there, if the ROI is there, then you bring in your centralized data science team to streamline it, to make it real time, take away the batch, and that side of things. All of that is enabled through low code, but you need to have a couple of things supporting that. You need to have a strong community of interest. You need to have a strong collaboration and communication to enable the team, to enable the business, and basically have that feedback loop. So you understand what the broader community are working on. You understand they feel comfortable that if they have issues, they're supported by the centralized data science team or the IT team, and what you end up finding is you'll get this constant feedback loop, and you'll help prioritize the ones that need to help and you enable the ones that are trying to mature themselves and mature their competencies and their capabilities in this space. So we see that, like any good technology, low code is an enabler, is a catalyst, but you need to have those softer skills around collaboration, communities of interest, that's something supporting it to get the full value out of that technology.
Definitely. Completely agree. And what are some of the challenges that organizations would face as they move down this path? What are some of the things that they should be thinking about, maybe from a governance perspective or from a deployment perspective when it comes to low code? What are some of the things that people can anticipate?
Yeah, I think the first thing that some of the challenges that they'll face will be, obviously, you need to think about how do you build up that momentum? How do you build that awareness around your water business? How do you make it seem like it's worth them doing it? How do you enable that? And I mentioned them previously, you really want to target those analysts, right? Throughout your organization, you have business analysts, data analysts. There are those people that spend a lot of time doing data crunching as it is, whether it's producing management reports or monitoring call centers or other processes. Yeah, they're all scattered throughout your business. You need to bring them together if you can, and you really need to build up and make the case for them, why this is going to make their life easier. And it's a relatively easy case to justify, You are spending 2 weeks every month doing management reports or monthly reports. We think low code is a way that you can streamline that and make your life easier. But in the process, we're going to help you, and as a result, you're going to capture more information and capture more insights about what they do. So that's part of what you need to do. The other part, I think, is you need to make sure once you build that momentum, you got to maintain that momentum. It's easy for other tools will come in. They'll see different things at conferences and trade shows, other things. They may get distracted. So you need to make sure that you're looking after your community and making sure that they feel loved, that they feel needed, and that what they're doing is not only appreciated within their small group or they're within their small part of the business, but to the broader ones. And so you're bringing them together to share with each other what they're doing, share ideas, and collaborate. And if you look at even the technology vendors out there are realizing that. You see that the strongest vendors in this space have very large communities. People feel like they want to post their ideas, they want to post what they've done and their case studies. And what you're trying to do with large organizations is do the same thing internally. You just need to build that community and make people want to contribute to that, because that's how you maintain that.
Yeah. No, that's great. And from what you've seen in terms of low code adoption, does it require greater investment in the data platforms and in the data cleansing side? As in, do we need to, do we get better outcomes and value out from low code by having better quality data and better structured, better modeled data?
It certainly does. So, I guess it's the old chestnut. If I go back 5-10 years ago, a lot of people say, I don't need to do business machine learning because I don't have my data warehouse in shape, or I don't have my databases and my data quality in shape. So I'm going to do cleaning of that for 12 months, and I'll come back and do it. And what they always found out is 12 months later, they clean the data, but it's ready for machine learning, but they realize, it's dirty again. And what they should have done is actually, we need to get into it and use AI and machine learning from day one. I think it's the same thing with low code. Yes, a good foundation, a good data foundation where you have a feature store or data warehouse or data lake definitely helps things. It absolutely helps things. But if you don't have that, that's not a precursor. In fact, I encourage you that it's definitely not a precursor, because what you want to do is use the low code as much as a catalog of your data assets. If you start capturing what all your analysts are capturing their data, what they're using, you can use all that low code stuff they're generating to actually help you catalog what you've got. And then you can actually retrospectively or after the fact, go back and actually now say, okay, business, I noticed that you use these 20 data sets on a regular basis. Well, we've gone and got those, we've put it into a data lake, we've cleaned it and managed it. It's in this feature store or it's in this data lake ready to go. So you can now, instead of pointing to the raw, you can point there and have confidence that you've got good, clean data ready to go. So you can go either way. I actually encourage people not to worry about what you've got at the moment. If you've got good stuff, absolutely support that and support the business to use your standardized, centralized data sources. But if you don't, use this opportunity to help understand what is important to the business and what data they use.
Nice. That's really good. And it definitely blends into the second item that you brought up around automating the data pipelines to both to enable the data scientist team, but sounds like we can leverage it and enable the business more broadly and be able to feed better quality data into low code solutions. So tell us a bit more about what the automation of the data pipeline looks like. Obviously, there's kind of a newish term now, data ops, around this space that goes, typically around automating pipelines, having better structured delivery processes, a bit of CI/CD, a lot more monitoring and alerting, and being able to diagnose issues in the pipeline a lot better. So you get kind of like a more reliable industrial strength core system out of your data platforms, which as industries and companies have matured, the data platforms become a core asset of the business. So this is a critical need for any business wanting to leverage the data. How do you guys see the automation of the data pipelines? What are some of the areas that you think are most relevant in that space?
Yeah. So I'll firstly say, as I said at the start, there was a recent survey, and I can't remember the numbers, but I think it was something like 90% of data scientists were surveyed. Out of all the data scientists that were surveyed, 90% said that they did not enjoy doing data cleansing or data preparation. I think the number was even higher than that. But any data scientist will tell you that 50 to 80% of their job is doing exactly that. What I have observed over the last 10 years is no matter what the size of the organization, if you have a new opportunity, a new machine learning objective that you need, or a new AI objective, I was always surprised that no matter what the size of the organizations, a lot of those new objectives and new projects that came up, they started from scratch. They literally were reinventing the wheel over and over again. And what was really interesting is there were always nuances, no matter what they did. You need finance data. Well, you ask 3 different data scientists, and they would get 3 different ways to get their finance data from your ERP. If you want external data, weather is a classic one. If you need to go to the Bureau of Meteorology, they always got different weather data from different APIs. And it occurred to me very quickly that it's like, well, unless you start standardizing those inputs or standardizing the way that you collect and the way you prepare that data, then you can have 3 different approaches come up with 3 completely different results. So what occurs to me is while we're doing a lot of great work in the areas of ML ops and auto ML and auto AI in terms of determining the right algorithms and determining the feature selection and that kind of thing, we still got a long way to go from that data collection point of view. So what we're looking at is taking the best of AI, and particularly in areas such as robotic process automation, and say, let's actually now use that for the collection of data. So what we've done is we've developed a platform where we're taking we develop agents, and those agents point to your ERP system, your CRM system. It points to external sources, so whether it's the Australian Bureau of Statistics or Bureau of Meteorology, and it automatically monitors those sources, and when new data comes in, it collects them, it automatically cleans them, and then puts it into your data lake or your feature store ready to go. And we document all of that, and what that means is you can have a small dedicated team to data ops or to this area, and they can modify that as new data is needed, as new things come in. But you can actually put a gold stamp on that and say, right, data scientists, we can verify and validate all of this initial data cleansing and process, and you can have that confidence that you can work, rather than going from first principles, you can start from that data lake of all the feature and set and go from there. What we're also trying to do is actually automate, as I said, as much of that as possible. So that small team isn't there to do the manual data cleansing, isn't there to do that formatting, because it's built into the logic of those robots and those agents. What they're really doing is saying, okay, we've got 100 sources and we've cataloged them and we know all the metadata associated with it. Where's the next one coming from? What's the next set of data or next source system we need to point these agents to? And they create the agents and then and populate that through. We think this is really powerful because what you're trying to do here is actually make sure that everyone's working from the same collective data. It's actually, if I go back to my business intelligence days, ultimately the point of the data warehouse was, as a boss, one of my bosses once said to me, we spent 80% of our time arguing who's got the right numbers and 20% of the time making the decision. I want to flip that on their head. I want to actually say, we all agree we have the right numbers. Now, what is the best time? What's the rest decision that we need to make? It's the same principle here with AI and ML. Let's not argue on who's got the best algorithm or who's got the right source data. Let's take that decision away and make it standardize that. And now we can talk about, okay, what's the right algorithm to use? What's going to give us the best predictive results, and thus what's going to give us the best business value out of that?
I love that. That frame of mind. It's really necessary. Because what happens is when I think the one of the keywords that you mentioned there was standardization. Because without it, you have many people trying to solve the problem, all with really good intentions. Like, it's always coming from a really good place, really good intentions, bright people looking to do their best and add the most value that they can. Then the issue is that without the standardization, as you were saying, you get 3 versions of the same number, of the same analysis, and then people are naturally confused. And that's where, the ops part, the standardization, having a common approach, which requires a bit more engagement, a little bit more governance, and more alignment and agreement, discussions around how we define this term in this space, and making sure that that's sort of collective and shared and made accessible. And the benefits are huge, as we just described, not only for the data science team, but for the business more broadly, both from and low code. So you go.
Yeah, so I was just going to drop you. One of the biggest challenges I get when I talk about this is there's always one or two or even a lot of more data scientists going, you're taking that creativity away from us. Sometimes that data collection, data preparation, we use our creativity side of things to look for new data. And I say to them, well, what you need to do is when you set this up, just like the low code, you need a strong collaborative framework, okay? And the short answer is, if we give you a feature set that we say is gold standard and you think there's something missing, if there's columns missing or we haven't added something in there, then it's the data scientist's job to say, okay, well, I think I can improve on that. And if they improve on that, they can pass that back to that data ops team to actually improve that gold standard again. So it's not reducing or taking away that creativity. It's just, it's a challenge to say, here's the line in the sand that we think for this data set. If you think that line has moved, if you think you can improve on that, data scientist, then let us know. And then we will improve that gold standard, not just for you, but for everyone who uses that going forward.
Exactly. Yes. Awesome. I love it. And yeah, obviously, I love it. Like I've been wanting to discuss it in more detail. I know we have a lot more to discuss. Before we moved on to one of the next ones, I wanted to ask you briefly about AI ops.
Yep.
And some of the benefits that IT ops teams and sort of IT support, that what benefits they can see from leveraging AI ops.
Yeah, so AI ops is a really interesting concept coming out now, and there are vendors out there who are doing that, but there's still a long way to go. So if you look at any standard IT service management, so if anyone's familiar listening to ITIL and that sort of things, what we're finding in the typical IT department is that the team that is responsible for operations and monitoring that are just getting overwhelmed. There is a lot of information and there's a lot of noise. I'll give you an example. I was working with a telecommunications organization in Australia. This was about 6 or 7 years ago now. And they were specialized. This team was the cybersecurity team. And they were basically saying that 80% of their investigations were false positives. They were alerted, there was something wrong. The team would go out and investigate it, and they found, there was nothing wrong. There was nothing untoward. There was no malicious code. There was nothing. No one's attacking them. It was a dead end. And what they asked me to do at the time, and what we're doing with AI ops, is like get rid of that noise. So how do we do that? We use AI and we look at all the logs that your system scrape, whether it's logs from your firewalls and VPNs, your Active Directory, your DHCP. All the information, we take those logs, we bring that together and we present a single view. And then we say when alerts happen, we can actually use AI to say, well, when we see an alert on this firewall and we see this alert over here on this Windows event system, we know those two are associated together. When we know that, we can actually then look at those and say, bring those up together, those alerts, and actually, provide using AI to provide a system of risk analytics to say, we actually think your big problems are here. And what that means now is your IT team can actually say, okay, what are the big problems? What are the things that we're going to see? Are we going to see servers break down because it's running out of hard drive? Are we going to see, suddenly we see malicious code coming through this firewall into the server? What can we do about that? And not only alert dynamically, but then use AI to fix it beforehand. So particularly with the malicious code, if the AI can detect that there is malicious code on a server, what you can actually do is use AI to actually ring fence that server straight off in the network immediately before it has a chance to do any more harm. So what we're doing now is using AI not just to help with the monitoring or or making the decisions or the alerting, but also using AI to help fix it. So dynamic AI repairs, automated AI enabled patching, or in this case, AI quarantine. So this is the where the value of AI ops is coming and it's coming rapidly. So we are looking at using this for a range of our clients. At the moment, NCS in Singapore, we run our own data center, and we're using our capabilities to look at how we can use and improve that data center from a security point of view, from a efficiency and productivity point of view, and an energy point of view as well, which we may, if time permits, we'll have a quick chat about that as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thank you. Thanks so much. I think it's a good segue. So yeah, if we move on to the sustainability piece, if you can tell us a bit more about what you've been working on in that area.
Yeah, so obviously sustainability is on the top of everyone's mind at the moment. How do we use and make use of our products, our services, our processes that make sure that they're sustainable and they adhere to state, government, and even international regulations when it comes to that. We NCS strongly believe that AI is fundamental to the improvement of sustainable outcomes. And it's a catch-22. We'll come to that very shortly. But some of the areas we're looking at the moment is energy management is the big one. So we have a lot of smart buildings and a lot of buildings being retrofitted for sensors. And you have a lot of good stuff around your HVAC system, your lighting, and all that sort of things. Well, what does that mean from an energy management point of view? How can we ensure that happens? And if you look at large organizations, government, schools, even retailers, they've got like not just 10, 20, they've got hundreds of buildings that they need to maintain. So what we're using AI for is like looking at the current data, looking at, external information like weather, regulations, that sort of things. And we're providing AI-enabled insights on top of that to say, okay, across your 200 buildings, 500 buildings, which ones need to have a replacement on their air conditioning system? And what's the value on that? It's going to cost you X amount, but you're going to see a 10, 20, 30% energy efficiency out of that. When's the right time to do those projects? And then what's the payback from that? So we're being really quite smart. And you replicate that. Air conditioning systems, if you're talking about retail, you're talking about your fridges and your freezers sometimes for that. You're talking about, the color of the roof and blinds, that kind of stuff. So we're actually looking at all these different things and say, what does AI say? What's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck? You may only have a certain capital expenditure budget each year. Where should you spend it to reduce your costs and meet those obligations? And that feeds really nicely into the other area that we're doing much more in, which is ESG governance. ESG is environment, social governance. And we're really seeing that really important as well. A lot of sustainability teams, they're still capturing this information in spreadsheets or worse, in Word documents. And we think that ESG isn't something that needs to be tracked on an annual basis or even a quarterly basis, but it needs to be tracked on almost a real-time basis. So if you've got sensors, if you've got these projects that are now have an environmental benefits to them, then why don't you feed that information in real time into an AI-enabled ESG platform, which allows the sustainability team to actually monitor how the organization is going on a daily, weekly, monthly level. And then that means that the decisions they can make decisions now, knowing that it's going to have an impact before they need to generate that, the annual report. Yeah. So again, this ESG platform is really, really powerful. The flip side of what we're doing, the last part we're looking at the moment, is really around AI itself. So what we're looking at here is, okay, can we quantify the environmental impact it will take to train an AI algorithm out? So, okay, I've trained this algorithm and it's 90% accurate. And from here, what we want to say is like, okay, if you want to improve it to 95%, we want to be able to forecast. We think that our algorithm is going to take an extra 2 days to train. Okay. And the environmental impact of that will be X amount of carbon dioxide, or, you can even put it as a dollar figure. It's going to train that. And then you can look at that and use that as part of your business case. It's like, okay, you know what? 2 days is going to cost me an extra $10,000 in, carbon credits or something like that. It's not worth it. The extra 5% accuracy for what I've got, it's not worth it. You know what? 90% is good enough. Or the vice versa, 95%. Actually, you know what? We see the organization is going to save $10 million, an extra $10,000 carbon credit. You know what? We can offset that. We can do that. But it's just making better decisions about basically saying accuracy is not everything. It's a multi-discipline, multi-dimensional problem. And what we want to do is make sure, like any good data scientist, they are given the right data to make the right decision on this data.
Awesome, mate. So such important areas. So both be able to optimize the use of energy throughout the business, be able to quantify what the savings are going to be and make better decisions as a result. And then on the other side, being able to predict what is the cost of running AI, like the environmental cost and the dollar cost, be able to predict that and identify what is the right point at which we've taken the development far enough where we're getting a really good outcome, but not so far that we're costing the environment, essentially. I love that. I love those applications. And then, so I'm thinking about both metaverse and digital trust as other two bits that we wanted to discuss. Which one would you like to jump into first?
Oh, I'm really passionate about digital trust, so we'll talk about that. So digital trust, obviously, in Australia, we've seen all the news articles about, breaches, cyber breaches, and even things like robo-debt and things like that. For me, I see these things are as an opportunity for us to really actually improve what we do as data scientists and as organizations. And ultimately, the whole point of this is our communities, our customers, our clients that we serve, they have asked for, that they want trust in what we do with their data, in what we do in their interactions with us. They want trust in that, and they want trust in the digital systems that we are using as well. And so we see this as a really big thing going forward, that, there's no official standard for this, but we really see that, organizations and clients in the future are going to actually reach out to us and say, what is your certification around that? Now, how can we be sure that you are doing everything that's needed from a security point of view, from a privacy point of view? How can we be sure that you're using AI in ethical ways and that you're not, you're not profiling us in ways that are detrimental to us or to our community, and so on. So really, digital trust is a really big one. And so obviously, cybersecurity is a big part of that, and lots of organizations are doing really good things. We are working with our dedicated cyber team to look at how we can use AI to, again, improve things. And we're taking the AI ops example and we're applying that to cyber particularly as well. So how can we use that to understand when there are breaches? What can we do to understand what assets have been impacted? And how can we actually make better decisions to dynamically segregate parts of the network to ensure that if there is a breach, that doesn't get too far, and so forth. But we're also using that with the cyber team to actually look at AI, to look at all lines of code and applications, that kind of stuff, to actually identify issues and problems in the code that could actually cause breaches in the future. So that's a really interesting area. The other areas that we're doing more and more in is explainable AI. So at the moment, no matter, we try our best to do it, but still to a lot of organizations, to a lot of clients, to a lot of decision makers, AI is still much a black box. Yeah. So what we're trying to do now is at the moment is talk about explainable AI. And really what explainable AI is how can we unpack that model and really rephrase that and present that back to decision makers and clients in a way that they can understand what we're doing with their data and how that AI model works. And so what we're doing at the moment is developing a framework around explainable AI, and that framework is multi-tiered. So just briefly on what it really does is it's like, okay, if an organization wants us to audit them and audit their AI models, we have now an audit framework. And that audit framework is very detailed in terms of what you need to look at from a variety of things around AI. Is it ethical? Is it biased? What's the data sources? How is it cleaned? And all that kind of stuff. The next level underneath that is actually a framework on, okay, we've got an AI model. What are the additional screens, visualizations, and dashboards that you need to create to make that come to life? So you're not just predicting that, but when someone says, why have you come up with that number, that you have the appropriate set of drilled throughs, and to use an old term, to drill throughs to other screens to show why that number has been developed and to explain what it's using, what are the features and what are the other things it's using to come up with that number. And this is a really interesting concept because what we're trying to do is actually not do it generically for a whole model, but sometimes be very specific, say, we've come up with this specific number that predicts your credit risk or the whatever, and actually what are the individual things that we've done to come up with that individual number. And so it's a little bit even more dynamic than what we've done previously, which is just like a feature importance or otherwise.
Exactly. Like it sounds like it takes it from a feature importance, which I guess you're looking at the columns and saying which column is driving the predicted value, moving it to a row level to say for this particular customer, for this particular row of data, what are the features that are driving the prediction for this person versus this other person for at an instance level, which in terms of the explainability that provides is way greater because it gives you the personalized feedback to say that the model is taking these features in these ways for this particular decision instead of kind of like at an aggregate. So that is phenomenal. The cybersecurity applications I also love. There's so many, as you said, so many false positives, so much monitoring that teams need to do in corporates, and the number of cyber attacks is increasing dramatically year on year. So having the automation on top of that is going to help alleviate so much of the team's focus, so they can improve the security of the company instead of continually responding to false positives or the majority of false positives. And then being able to lock down the systems through AI, I think that's phenomenal. You definitely want to lock things down, close down networks, access, etc. as there is anomalies in the network, in the usage, and better to be safe than sorry, as we've seen a lot in the news.
The other thing, Philippe, I just interrupted that I forgot to mention was it's also applying security to the data science process as well. So two things that we're looking at particularly is federated learning, and so what federated learning is really is like, okay, so different departments, or if you're looking at different government departments, they own that data and they provide machine learning outputs out of that. Well, what we're looking at is what federated learning is really about is like, the Department of Finance have their own machine learning, and they have a gold standard for that. But they may need to share that with Department of Health. They may need to share that with Department of Agriculture. They all have their own. And federated learning is about, let's say, I can call the outside insights from that and bring that into my model without understanding fully what it's done and not having seen private information, but getting the results I need from that. And so what you end up doing is building this hierarchy of machine learning models, and it allows me to still get really good insights without needing to see the access to the raw data and train from scratch. So that's one interesting area. And the other one is around privacy preserving algorithms. or what's often referred to as homomorphic encryption. So really what that's about is like, how can we build machine learning models using a type of encryption that means that I don't know the private information. I don't know their names, I don't know their date of births, but it does it in a way that it doesn't interfere with the machine learning and doing its stuff. So it's really quite an interesting way of doing that. So we're looking at both of those opportunities, and we're looking at those through a lens of, does it provide better results and does it provide unbiased results? So sometimes we still need to do those audits because sometimes the data is still biased to start with. So sometimes you still need to make sure that those two techniques are still great, but you still need to make sure that is the source data done in a way that continues to provide the best outcome and not discriminate against any group or individual as a result.
Exactly. Oh, mate, this is phenomenal. I know that we've run out of time, but mate, I could keep chatting and asking you about this for ages. So I think we will have to schedule a part 2. I think there will be a lot of interest for us to dive deeper into the areas that we discussed and also cover metaverse that we didn't get to today. But Nikita, I really want to thank you for coming on the show, for sharing all of the good work that you guys are doing at NCS. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Really helping organizations leverage the power of the next generation of AI technologies to really revolutionize what an organization can do and what it looks like from the inside out. So thank you for all the good work. And tell me, where can people find out more about about you guys and the good work that you're doing?
Yeah. So the great thing is, if you want to see, read more about NCS, go to ncs.co. and definitely find out more about it there. Otherwise, we're actually happy to sponsor Data Futurology's Advancing AI in Melbourne in May. We will be there, and we are looking forward to having these conversations and more with anyone who is interested.
Amazing. So for everyone listening, come to Advancing AI in Melbourne towards the start of May. Come and discuss all these things that we discussed today, from generative AI to AI ops, ML ops, data ops, sustainability, metaverse, and digital trust. Discuss that with the NCS team. Nikita, thank you so much for your time, and talk to you soon, mate. Take care.
Thank you for everything, Felipe. Cheers.
Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope that you got a lot out of this discussion. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so more people can find out about the challenges that leaders have in the analytics and AI space. And that's what we're trying to share in Data Futurology. So please like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Thank you so much.